Well, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It is Dr. Brandy B. Welcome to Focus on It Friday. Come on in. It's 12:15 or a little bit after that, but we are here and we are ready for you. We are ready to Focus on It Friday. I'm so excited today. I had a very wonderful thing that happened this morning, and that was by way of a friend relaying the message that she had decided to treat her child for ADHD. And I wanted to use her testimony, if you will, to kind of go over some important things about ADHD. So, hello, Miss Stephanie. Welcome. So glad that you're here. Hope you're doing well in Walker County. Today it's raining here in Birmingham. Hopefully everyone is staying dry wherever they may be. Hello, Miss Kiara Seals. Welcome to Focus on It Friday. It is Friday, the end of February. And it was warm yesterday here and the day before. Really warm. And now it's cooling off a little bit. But welcome to Focus on It Friday. Welcome to Focus on It Friday. Miss Pat Keene is here. Hello, Miss Keene. We're so glad you made it. Welcome. Y'all, Miss Keene, I love her. She has been following me around since I was a little tiny tot, speaking good and well and all things great over my life, and I appreciate her so much. All right, we're going to give everybody about 2 more minutes since I was late coming on. Maybe people didn't get the notification. If you know how to help other people that want to come join us get notification, share that here with us, because people ask me all the time, how do you get notifications? And I have no idea what to tell them. I need to figure that out. Hello, Latina Woods. Thank you for joining. Welcome to Focus on It Friday. I'm hungry, y'all. What y'all eating for lunch? I am hungry. I'm gonna crash y'all's lunch location. All right, we've got Jill Murner McBrayer. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Focus on It Friday. So we've got 5 people. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Dr. Brandy B, your triple board certified pediatrician, adult psychiatrist, and child and adolescent psychiatrist. And through my Facebook live stream, Focus on It Friday, I have worried moms, dads, educators, and all others who have an interest in children with ADHD get the education that they need so that their children can be successful and shine both in the classroom and in life. Let me see if I can figure out how to turn these windshield wipers off, since now we apart with my husband again today. Let's see what we can figure out. Got these windshield wipers, but that didn't do it. All right, there we go. So now you'll just hear the rain falling, but not the windshield wipers going. All right, so today, hello, mommy. Today we're going to talk about understanding ADHD and how you process dealing and managing ADHD through a parent's testimony. And so today, like I said, I had a mom to, sometimes on my private page, I'll just start giving out random tips about ADHD, what it looks like, how it presents. And I don't share those on my professional page, but I should, because it's good stuff and stuff that you all need. But nonetheless, I shared something, and then I shared my post in one of my private mommy groups. And so someone this morning made a post, and she made a post, and from that I thought it was a great testimony to help a lot of moms out. So she says, I finally pulled the trigger. Recently started my son on 10 milligrams of medication and already noticing how it is helping. Highest score on his standardized test, and he now finishes most of his homework at school. Not much to bring home. This is from a kid who used to have significant missing assignments. I haven't told my family because they all say they just want to label black boys, but I really feel I made the best decision for my son. He says he hasn't noticed a difference, so that's good. However, he has reported a headache once, and his doctor said he may not be hungry at lunch. So I make sure he eats a big meal right after school because he's never ate much at breakfast. And I give him grace if he seems to be snappy in the evening because the doctor said that could be a side effect as well. And y'all, my heart was jumping for joy. I was like, oh my goodness. This is why I get up and do what I do and spend long hours seeing patients, being on Focus on a Friday, thinking about my next event and when in the world I'm going to find the time to make it happen just for moments like this. Let's have Miss Angela Kennedy Turner. Hello, this is Miss Turner. Oh, yes. Hello, welcome. So glad you all made it. Yes. We've got Miss Melody Mitchell, welcome. And we've got Miss Tanya Hardin-Dixon, welcome as well. So I just wanted to take this, and I kind of found 13 points in her testimony that I wanted to share with you all today as learning and teaching moments. The first thing she says is, I finally pulled the trigger. And so what I want you to know from that is that there is no, like, in real world answer, right? Best case scenario, you would make the decision as early as possible. But I want everybody to understand that it takes you as much time as it takes you to figure out what it is that you need to know. So if it takes you till your child is 13, if it takes you till your child is 3, if it takes you till your child is 3rd grade, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that at some point you pull the trigger like this mom says she did. Remember that ADHD comes in 3 types. Predominantly inattentive type, predominantly hyperactive, impulsive, and then combined. Your inattentive symptoms include losing things, forgetting things, being disorganized, procrastinating, rushing, making careless mistakes, not listening when addressed, not paying close attention to details. Your hyperactive impulsive symptoms include being talkative, being loud, blurting, interrupting, fidgeting, not staying seated when expected, not completing tasks, acting as if driven by a motor. All right. And then combined is you have symptoms from both sets, significant amount of symptoms. All right. And so this mom says, I finally pulled the trigger. I don't know what made her pull the trigger, but at some point she did. And that is what we have to remember, that at some point you really need to go ahead and pull the trigger, get it done, save your baby's life. Not just their academic career, but save their life potentially. Save them from, you know, let's just say the least case scenario, what happens? They just may live a life of not knowing how to set goals and complete them, right? I am somebody who was definitely self-driven. I created all my own goals and I made sure that I accomplished them. Now, don't get me wrong. I had parents, grandparents, aunts, great aunts, uncles, great uncles, cousins. I mean, I had a whole entire village behind me, but I was self-driven, even down to taking my pediatric boards more than once, because I thought to myself, if my children say, Mommy, it's hard, we want to quit, we want to give up, I want to be able to tell them it was hard for Mommy too, but I kept going. And so, you know, if I had been in a situation now, you know, in addition to wanting to be able to tell my kids that, I also never wanted to find myself thinking, wondering, guessing, what if I had taken it again? What if I would have passed? And so I did it until I accomplished the thing. But the thing about ADHD is that sometimes you don't get a chance, you don't finish things, right? So, or it may take you longer than it would have needed to take. And so I get a lot of times parents that say, well, I made it just fine and I had it. Really? So you want your kids to struggle because you did? That's just not a way of thinking that I have, right? In fact, as easy as life is for me, and certainly is easy for my kids, I want it to be even easier for them. And so that's why I want to put them in position that it can be that way. So again, You may not decide, you may ignore all the teachers until they get to 6th or 7th grade. When they fail, right? And then you're like, dang, so many times I hear parents say, I wish I had done it sooner. I hate that I was whipping them and it was something they couldn't help, right? We don't want you to feel that way, but also we want you as parents to be certain in what it is that you're doing for your child. Don't be bullied into it, but at some point, go ahead and make the decision to do it. Welcome, everybody. Miss Slater says, thank you for the information, Doc. Where do I get my son tested? And then she says, I'm sorry if you've already covered it, and I want you to absolutely never have to apologize over here. I'm not really sure where you are, Miss Slater. And guys, forgive me. If I see your kid, I don't know parents' names. And half the time, you know, I can't see these little bitty pictures, so I don't know who's watching. But you're the first person that you should go to if you are considering getting your child tested for ADHD, or you're concerned that they may have it, will be the pediatrician. That is what I would recommend doing. After the pediatrician, then, you know, oftentimes they may give you a survey, they may ask questions, or they may just say, hey, I want you to go see a psychiatrist or some other mental health professional. But your pediatrician is where you should start, because many times your child and adolescent psychiatrists or nurse practitioners, we are going to have very long wait lists. And oftentimes, parents, what normally happens is at the point that you decide to pull the trigger, you are ready like yesterday. Well, we don't have a space yesterday. In fact, we would have a space a year and a half ago for you. That is how our timelines work. Like, we are many months to sometimes years out. So start with your pediatrician. They can get something going for you. I even consult with pediatricians and say, hey, let's try this or do that until people can get in with me. But definitely that's what you want to do. Tonette, hello. So good to see you here. So glad that you were able to join us. Miss Dina, thank you for joining. Looking good as always, and I know you are too. I think I saw Miss Dia come in, Mr. Jeremy. Miss King says, good afternoon, just got off the phone with your mother. Oh, yes. So glad that you all were able to come on in. All right, so number one, the mom. So guys, if you're just joining, I am using a mom's testimony, a friend of mine, and what she wrote was just awesome. So I said, let me just use this testimony as a way to give some good high yield points about ADHD. So the first thing she said was, I finally pulled the trigger. And the first thing I want you to know is that you're on your own timeline. Do it when it feels good for you. The second thing she said is, I started my son on 10 milligrams of medication. People always worry about how much is it going to be? How much is that? Let me tell you. And then I even get people that say, well, I don't know which one to start. Let me tell you. The first thing that you need to do as a parent is decide you want to start medicine. Trust the medical professional. We hope that they know what they're doing and that they will know where to start and where you might end up. I will tell you that in general, most of us are going to operate by the saying that you start low and you go slow. But I had a grandmother yesterday who was very upset because her grandson was taking X number of milligrams. And what I had to explain to her is that wherever you start on Tylenol, you don't take that for the rest of your life. So certainly any other medicine is going to be, especially in the pediatric world, is going to be based on weight. So the more that you weigh, the more you will need. I will encourage you all, though, if you consider medications, to understand that the medication strengths should be treated like clothing size, right? If you're a 22, nothing wrong with that, except if you're trying to buy a 12 and you keep trying on 12s, you're never going to get anything that will zip. Why? Because you need a 22. The other thing I want you to consider is that just like with clothing, different brands run different, are bigger and smaller. So an 8 in one brand could be like a 10 on another, could be like a 6 on another. So it is with strengths. I have some medicines that start at a 2.5. I have some that start at 5. I have some that start at 10. And I have some that start at 100. So you really have no idea about the medicines. A better question to ask and say, whoa, that's a lot, is to simply say, where is that in the range of strengths? That's a much better question. because you have no idea based on the milligrams, because I can't even keep up with some of them, what that strength means. All right. So I like the fact that he started the boy on 10 milligrams, and she was pleased with that. So kudos. But I give a lot of anticipatory guidance, meaning that I tell parents the next step. And the next step is that this isn't going to work long. So be prepared to go ahead and increase it at some point. Now, I practice a little bit different. I give you what you need. You can make some increases at home. But I do this all day, every day. Your child's pediatrician may not feel that comfortable, and that is okay. All right. Let's see. Miss Tanya Hardin Dixon. I'm going to let my screen come up so I can... Okay, she says, walked the different medication, different strengths road. Walk the different medication, different strengths road. Sometimes it takes trial and error to get the right combination. You're absolutely right. Sometimes it is trial and error. People look at me now. Nobody is getting upset, you know, at the medical doctor's office when you go through amoxicillin, then you go to augmentin, then you go to a cephalosporin. People expect me to just know. And I have to remind people, I am a psychiatrist, not a psychic, honey. If I knew which one was going to work for your child, I would give it, but also I would not be here. I would be making sure that I won the next lottery. All right. So it is definitely about trial and error, and you just have to be patient as we go through it. Good point. Thank you, Miss Tanya. All right. The next thing she says is that he started on 10 milligrams. She says, already noticing how it is helpful. Okay, remember I tell you, well, you don't remember because I don't talk about medicines over here, but we're getting a special edition now. We are talking about what a mom said in real life. Okay, she says already noticing a difference, right? There are two different classes of medications. The stimulants you're going to notice the first day. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. Now, she says number 4, the highest scores. Let's see, Melody Mitchell. Hey, Dr. B, what about something natural to help a child focus? Girls, this is what I say. Okay, natural stuff. If it's natural and it works, let's do it. I do want people to realize, though, that natural is still a drug. It's still a medication. So what you need to make sure is that, first of all, you're not overdosing, right? Because you can get toxic levels of over-the-counter medications. The other thing is to make sure that it is not interfering with any other medications that the child may be taking, because they are medications. And you will find that a lot of your over-the-counter stuff can interfere with a lot of, especially mental health medications. And it can either slow down their excretion and make them toxic, or it can speed up their excretion, and then the medicine doesn't do its job. One of the biggest things you need to watch out for when you're talking about over-the-counter stuff is going to be, and this is just in general, this is not over-the-counter medication for ADHD, this is in general. You want to watch out for things that may interfere with oral contraceptive pills. So you think you're protected and you end up welcoming a baby boy or girl, or 2 or 3. So that would be the thing I would say about that. But sure, if you want to go the natural route, go. I will tell you, though, that oftentimes it just does not work. Just does not work. So set a timeline in your mind for how long you're going to give it to go. And if your kids' grades continue to fall, mood is continuing to be bad, they're continuing to get in trouble and be impulsive, then at some point you'll have to pull the trigger, like the mom said. But that's a great question. Let's see who else we got. I saw somebody coming in. Let's see. Cornelia Colley. Hello, girl. South Carolina. All right, let's see. Miss Angela Kennedy Turner. I'm trying Georgia on her new meds tomorrow. I picked it up today. I just hope it does speed up her heart. If so, what should I do? You are my patient. If so, you're going to call the office on Monday. But parents, that is a good question in general. If you ever feel that a medicine is doing something that you're not comfortable with, call your doctor's office. If stuff is bad and you're like, I don't want to wait over the weekend, then just go ahead and discontinue it. Most medicines are, especially stimulants for ADHD, they go away every day. And so it would be okay to just not give it the next day because it's gone away. Now remember, this is for educational purposes only. I am not entertaining becoming anybody's doctor. You know, if you're already my patient, that's great. But Make sure that you have a doctor for you and your child. All right. So glad that we are tagging some folks. You're welcome. Miss Angela says thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Miss Harriet Kemp Shaw is all the way in the building from Fayette County. Thank you for joining. All right. So she says she's already noticing it. One day you notice, okay? Highest scores on his standardized test, and now he finishes most of his homework at school, not bringing much home. So you all know that in those younger grades, anytime you start seeing homework come home and it's got classwork did not complete, that's not a good sign, folks. That means that they are not paying attention in class, because they're not sending that note home to everybody, believe me. So your child got one because they did not complete their work. And that's okay. At some point, you'll decide that you want to pull the trigger. But know that you're going to be able to finish your work in class. You're going to be able to focus in class. And then those grades are going to come up. Real quick about anxiety and depression. A lot of people, I don't know why, guys. I still don't understand. But for some reason, anxiety and depression, guys, are accepted more than is ADHD. And when I say accepted, I mean that parents are willing to treat those things quicker than they are ADHD. So I get a lot of kids that come in and parents say they're anxious. Remember I said last week, anxiety and ADHD can present in a couple of ways. It could be anxiety and ADHD. It could be ADHD that is causing anxiety. Because imagine that if you study for a test, you always get answers wrong, or you don't make a good grade, you're going to be anxious as time goes on when you continue to not do well. So that is what that is. All right. She says that this is now coming from a child who used to miss a lot of assignments. Guys, if you tell me that your child does their homework but then does not turn it in, I'm going to wonder, does that child have ADHD? Nobody else on the planet does their homework and fails to turn it in except a child with ADHD. All right, and missing assignments just because they don't pay attention to detail. Remember I said that? So they'll say, oh, she put that on the board, I didn't see that. Or, oh, I forgot this assignment. A lot of forgetfulness, a lot of I didn't see that, overlooking stuff, making careless mistakes. Now, she says, I haven't told my family. And I said, whoa, because I thought she was coming on my page, on my personal page. I said, oh, Lord, they're going to see it now, potentially. But I realized where we were, and that was okay. But she said she hasn't told her family. And I want to just encourage somebody right now to let you know that you can keep a secret. You've kept secrets before. If you feel like you're doing what's in the best interest of your child, it's really not everybody's business anyway, right? This is your child's medical history. And so a whole lot of people really don't even need to know, right? They can know on a need-to-know basis, and most people just don't need to know. But she said that she didn't tell the family, guys. And so I want you to know it's okay to not tell the family. It really is. And if you tell whoever your clinician is what you're trying to do, they should be able to get away for you to get the child their medicine without the family knowing. Right? Okay. I do want to caution you when people say, well, girl, if I were you, and just stop right there. Because they're not you. They don't have your situation at their house. They don't have the level of patience that you do, whether you have a lot or a little. They don't know what it feels like to watch a child cry because they can't figure out why they don't know stuff, and to say stuff like, I'm not smart, I'm dumb, I'll never get this right, I'm not as good as the other kids, I'm not as smart as you and dad. So if they don't know what that feels like, there's no way they can tell you what they would do about it, because they don't know. And as they see it, if I were you, they're not. Have you seen Jornay and Guanfacine help a child? Absolutely. Absolutely have seen Jornay and Guanfacine help a child. I actually write quite a bit of Jornay in the population that can get it. I see a lot of kids who have Medicaid, and Medicaid does not cover it as a tier 1 medication. But as soon as I can get my hand on it, I get people to Jornay. We've discussed Jornay before on a live. We had a very lively discussion about Jornay, but I think it's a good medicine. The point, though, let me just say this right here. Any medicine can be a good medicine if it's the one for your child or for you, right? It's kind of like saying, have you seen human beings be good to people in 2023? Absolutely. But I've also seen human beings be awful to people. We're all a part of the human species. Some of us are rotten, and some of us are not. Miss Jessamine Wood Smith, hello. She says, we love Jornay. We love it, she says. That's what she's talking about, Jornay. Miss Irma Craig is here. Let's see, Toinette says, my daughter just started and I haven't really seen a difference. It's been 2 weeks. How long does it take, sis? Because she's like, come on. I pulled the trigger and this is not moving. This train is moving slow. So typically you should see it right away. I will tell you that with Jornay and with most other medicines, you've got to push the dose, right? So if you started low, so we start low and we go slow, but we got to go, okay? So if you've not gone, if you've not maxed it out, if you've not kept going up, it probably is not going to work. And then just keep in mind that everything is not for everybody. So it may not work for your child, but you've got to get the dose up. That's another thing I'm a really big stickler on. Before we leave a medicine and say it didn't work, we have to make sure that we've given a good enough dose. Again, I use Tylenol. Taking 5 milligrams of Tylenol and saying, but my child still has a fever. It's not working. And your child is in 8th grade, 300 pounds, and plays football. And I'm like, okay, it's not going to work, right? We've got to adjust the dose. So get with your clinician to make sure that the dose is where it needs to be. But definitely in 2 weeks, you should have seen something if it was going to work, okay? So she says she hasn't told her family, right? If I were you. You're not me. That's why I'm moving on. Now, the next thing she said was, they just want to label black boys. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. So yesterday, this actually happened to me. I had a grandmother who now has the kids. I'd heard about this grandmother for a while through her daughter, but her daughter didn't bring the kids yesterday. And so she told me that. And I said, ma'am, I'm black. I'm black. Black people get stuff, right? Black boys get ADHD. So I do want to, and I've talked about this. I actually talked about it, I think, last February. I talked about the implication of race and ADHD. And so here is the deal. When a child is in a classroom setting, that child may have problems with focus, all right? And so what ends up happening, and this is what research has said. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to find my cord. What research has said is that when that happens, a white child might be said to have a learning disability, whereas a black child might be said to have ADHD. This is research, I didn't make this up. Okay. So, there may be some truth to that. But here's the deal. You know what your child is doing. You know what your child is doing. If your child can't focus, I don't really care what their race is. If they need treatment. And the one thing that you need to do is to make sure that you have a clinician that you can trust. Right? A clinician that you can trust, because I don't really care what color your clinician is, but it's always interesting to me when people say that to me, and I'm like, do they see what color I am? So yes, black boys can get ADHD, white boys, Hispanic boys, and research, in addition to showing that black boys will typically be labeled as having ADHD, whereas white boys will be labeled as having learning disorders or something else going on. It also shows that, in general, whites, blacks, and Hispanics are, on average, diagnosed at about the same rate. It's just very little fluctuation. And ADHD is still underdiagnosed. That's crazy. Miss Stephanie, she says, you talked about it in your book. I sure did. I talked about race and ADHD in your book. In my book. Your book, but my book. Your copy, but my book. And so I really want us to, and it's awful. I get it. Right now, black women die at a higher rate in perinatal settings because their pain and other issues are not considered serious and not addressed seriously. I get it. I get that the Tuskegee experiment happened, where all these black people were being given syphilis and they weren't treated. I get it. I get that there is a mistrust. But what I need for people to understand is that you see your kid and you see them struggling. So don't let anybody, fear is what it amounts to, right? Don't let fear, don't let ignorance, and certainly don't let anybody else's, if I were you, get in the way of you giving your child what you deep down know they have. You know this. When people come to me, they're just coming to me because they are leaning on hope. But they already have a diagnosis, and I'm just there to help them with that. Okay, I hope I help somebody with that. Now, the next thing she says is, but I really feel I made the best decision for my son. And she did. For all the reasons that I mentioned, when people say, if I were you, but they're not you. They are not you. I am not going to risk my children, your children, anybody's children, not getting into college, not staying in college, not getting out of 3rd grade, 9th grade, 11th grade because of what somebody else says. Somebody who didn't take care of me, didn't pay my bills, didn't even buy the medicine that we talk about in question, right? So we got to be making sure that we do that. All right. So Toinette, I think I answered that. How long does it take? 2 weeks is sufficient. Go back and talk to your doctor. We've got Willie Smith joining us. Katina Mays sells homes. Good luck selling homes today. Stay dry out there, and I hope you sell about 3 or 4 this weekend. All right. So I made the best decision for my son. It's your child. We get into these situations where there may be parents that disagree, and they're divorced. You know, that gets to be a tricky situation. And this is what I do. I say, girl, I'm licensed in Texas, child. I am licensed in Texas. I am licensed in 16 states. Now, I can't tell you all of them because these newer ones I don't know just yet. But I am licensed in Texas. So let me see. I made the best decision for my son, right? Do not let anybody take your power away. You come here to let me give you power, and in 3 seconds you leave and let somebody strip you of that. Don't do that. Keep your power. Hold on tight. Hold on tight. Okay, what else we got? She says, my son hasn't noticed a difference, so that's good. What does that mean? He's not having any side effects because the medicines are safe. All right, that was simple. However, he was reported a headache. You can get a headache. And she says, once. He reported a headache once. So side effects: upset stomach, decreased appetite, sleep disturbance, headache. That can happen. It happened once. He's liking it. His doctor said he may not be hungry at lunch. I just said that, right? So these are stimulant medications. They may decrease appetite. She says, but I give him a good meal right after school. Perfecto. She says, I try to give him grace because he seems snappy in the evening, but his doctor said that could be a side effect as well. Now, snappiness in the evening can come from the medications just kind of wearing off abruptly. And when they do, the kid can be irritable. Now, let me go back, though. ADHD and irritability are not strangers. They have a very good working relationship, okay? So these kids are snappy just because they have ADHD. Some of them can be snappy when their medicine is working. Some of them can be snappy when their medicine is wearing off. And some all the time snappy. All right? The all the time snappies might need something else to help with that. But otherwise, the snappiness can definitely be there as the medicine wears off in the afternoon. Oftentimes, giving a second dose short-acting will make that go right away. And instead of having that plane to crash, it will just glide off. And yeah, you just need something else to just make it glide. I think about the man landing on the Hudson, right? He didn't go nose down first. He just landed on his belly. And that's what a second dose can help you do. The irritability can be very real. All right. So I'm going to read it again in case you came in late. We were just talking about several talking points about ADHD. And I use a mom's testimony. Because at this point now, May will be 3 years. So you can imagine, I've talked about just about everything. And if you've been following me the entire time, you're like, oh my God. But if you don't know anything else from me, you ought to know that there is no ADD anymore. It's just ADHD. All right, we don't call it ADD. So when you go to the doctor's office, that's one way to know how much your doctor is keeping up. Do they call it ADD? And then say, is it ADD? And if they say, well, I just call it that to keep up for you, it's really this. Now you good. If they say, oh yeah, and they're 99, they still probably know what they're talking about. They just aren't keeping up with the nomenclature, but they're keeping up with the treatment. You know. Anyway, I'm going to read this for you. She says, I finally pulled the trigger. And her boy's in middle school. Recently started my son on 10 milligrams of medication. So I finally started medication was the first thing. Recently started my son on 10 milligrams. That was the second thing. And I'm already noticing that it's helping. That was the third thing. Highest score in standardized tests. And now he finishes most of his homework at school. Not much homework to do at home. That was the fourth thing. She says, this is from a kid who used to always miss assignments. That was the fifth thing. I haven't told my family. That was the sixth thing. Because they are all, quote, they just want to label black boys. That was the seventh thing. But I really feel I made the best decision for my son. That was the eighth thing. He says he hasn't noticed a difference, so that's good. That was the ninth thing. However, he has reported a headache once. That was the 10th thing. And his doctor said he may not be hungry at lunch, number 11. So I make sure he eats a big meal right after school, number 12. And I give him grace if he seems to be snappy in the evening, because the doctor said that would be a side effect as well. That was the 13. So we had our lucky 13 tips from a real life mom's testimony. I did not ask her for that. I just was simply doing what I do, which is educating, making random posts. She decided to post under that post this. I just printed it out. And because I feel like me talking about it is one thing, but you hearing other moms talk about it is very, very, very different. It's very empowering. Tonette says, that's good to know. I wonder why she was so snappy in the evening. Yes, yes, yes. Mama says, always good information. I aim to please, mommy. All right, what questions do y'all have for me? What questions do y'all have for me? So let me ask you, if I had a paid event, and you can say no. If I had a paid event where I did this, but I went deeper. I went deeper. I had someone come in and talk about some special ed. I had someone to come in and talk about testing. I really gave you a good once over with everything. Is that something y'all would be interested in? Because I am trying to get that plan in April, and the other thing will be that people who come to that will also get time alone with me, right? And it will vary in the amount of time that you get with me, with your child, based on several different things. But that's what I'm planning. Just let me know if that's something that interests you all. I gotta get mommy's time out back as well this month. Thinking about doing it in person, but we had so much fun with that. And it wasn't just for mommies of kids with ADHD. It was for any mommy who was any age, who had a child that was any age. Okay? So that's where we are. Don't forget my book, Shine, Understanding ADHD So Your Child Can Be a Star. Very good. Breaks out ADHD. Very empowering. I only hear good things about it. Now, maybe the people who don't have nice things to say just don't talk to me about it. But it is very good, very good. And you can get that at shineadhdbook.shop, S-H-O-P. All right. Well, guys, if there are no other questions, I appreciate you all joining me on this nice, rainy, a rainy day in Birmingham. If y'all have any questions, just give me a ring-a-ling or inbox. Patience, do not send me a message. Because you know that those will not get addressed. Go ahead and just call the office where you see me, and we'll get you taken care of. All right, guys, that is all. Y'all be safe out there, and just know that somebody in Birmingham loves you, is thinking about you, and wants you to be encouraged on this mommyhood journey and fatherhood. We got some fathers that sneak in too. We want you all to be encouraged and know that you absolutely have everything that you need to be able to get your kids to better mental health. And I'm going to get out of here, guys. Dr. Brandy B, your triple board certified pediatrician, adult psychiatrist, and child and adolescent psychiatrist. Through my book, Shine, and my Facebook live stream, Focus on It Friday, I help worried moms, dads, teachers, grandmas, and everyone else get the education that they need so their children can be successful in the classroom and in life. If you need me for any reason and you're not a patient, go ahead and just send me a message. We will get back to you as soon as possible. But you all be safe, get some rest this weekend, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.